Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to Synchronicity Web TV. I am your host, Nadiya Shah, and this is your moment of synchronicity. Well, I'm so excited to celebrate with you today. And once again, the one and only Marc Laurenson. Now, Marc has been on this channel so many times. I've interviewed him so many times because you're freaking brilliant and I love you so much. There's that. But then also, Marc is one of the most popular teachers we have at Synchronicity University. And Marc is coming back this time with a very sought after topic that only he can teach the way that he teaches. And that is the intimate sky, looking at the astrology of relationships, sensuality, desire, intimacy, so much more. And as I said, only the way Marc can teach it. Every single time I talk to Marc, I tell you, I come away feeling like a better astrologer, feeling like I know myself better, feeling I have that much more skill to give to another. And I know so many of your students feel that way as well. The one and only principal of the Sydney School of Astrology and so much more, famous in Australia, coming up in the world, in the rest of the world, the one and only Marc Laurenson. Marc, welcome. Thank you for being
Thank you, Nadia. Wow. What an introduction.
Of course. And you deserve it and so much more. You deserve all of it because it's so true. I mean, yes, it is true in the most loving vision that I have for you so far. But the more I learn for you, the more I love you.
That's beautiful. Thanks, Nadia. And I love teaching the synchronicity. I truly do. This is number 5, I think, for me.
I think so. And it is.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
every time I come back, I always go, oh, good, good. I love teaching the synchronicity.
Yeah.
I love
It,
everything about it. It's got
You're
such a
so
great vibe.
wonderful to come to the school because I know with us you do these mini courses and there's really no other place at which you teach at this lower rate, but it makes like education with you available to a lot more people than might otherwise be able to have a chance to have this incredible learning opportunity from you. So that's really so
Exactly.
kind and generous of you. For those of you watching, I will say this, like Marc said, this is about his 5th course with us, perhaps. And actually, Marc has been kind enough to allow us to sell some of his previous courses. So you can get all caught up in advance and you can get them as add-on for that very low, as low as $5 rate as well for a very limited time if you purchase this class. So lots and lots of good
Fantastic.
stuff to look forward to catch up on, and so much more. And so, Marc, let's talk about the intimate sky. What do you mean when you say the intimate sky?
Um, well, this is number 5. As I said, this is the 5th time I've come to synchronicity, and I wanted to do something really different. Okay, I wanted to take something, outside the norm or outside the box. Now, getting involved in intimacy and getting close to people, and even the sexual side of things, doesn't get talked about all that much in astrology. You don't really read about it all that much. People touch on it in relationship astrology, but I thought we'd go a little bit further with it. I thought we'd really sink our teeth into it. So I'm going to go into the sexual side of things, but I'm not going to be going into it in a gratuitous kind of way. I'm going to be understanding sex and getting close to some people on that level, on a physical level. More from the what we're actually learning about ourselves in the context of what that's about for us. Also, when we get close to somebody, when we get intimate with somebody, truly intimate with somebody, it is the most profound, I want to say, uh, place we can go as far as being truthful with ourselves, 100% truthful with ourselves. And we have to be very brave to go there. We really, really do, because to become really intimate and to get very close to somebody else, we have to become vulnerable. And a lot of people go, ooh, I don't like that word. Vulnerable is not a word that, sits well with me. But vulnerable really means to really get in touch with your feelings. 100% being able to be comfortable with the way you feel and be able to put them out there, be able to not necessarily put them on show so much, but not be scared of them enough to be able to use them in life, to be able to use them in your relationships, to be able to feel the flow and the beautiful, loving energy that actually comes from them. But to actually get there and to go there, we have to go through a bit. We have to go through a lot of stuff around worth, self-worth, that feeling, am I good enough to have an intimate relationship or get close to somebody else? Guilt will come into it. Religion has done a good job of making us feel bad about it. You know, I'm falling in love with this person and I want to get to know this person. I want to get into bed with this person, but God says I can't do it until I get married.
Right, right.
So, you know what I mean? There's all that kind of stuff, the fear of rejection. What if I get close to this person? What if I really give myself over and then he leaves me and I'm left high and dry? So I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to bother. I'm not even going to start. So we've got all these kind of, what would you call them? Things that stall us, things that get in our way as we're heading towards closeness and as we're heading towards intimacy. So we really, really need to have a look at any of the things that we might have that stop us from allowing us to get there. Because when we're truly intimate with somebody, when we're truly in that beautiful place of connection, getting to know each other on every single level, that permeates to every area of our lives. It is not just between two people. It goes through everything. So when we're good, when we're feeling good with our feelings, when we're feeling good with being able to connect, when we're not feeling shameful or guilty, every area of our lives starts to take on this brand new version of what it means or what it is, because that's basically, the emotional base of who we are. And so the whole idea is to be able to understand in the chart, in the birth chart, to be able to understand the placements that you have, the particular planets that you have in particular houses and aspects, that will give you some ideas around what you need to do and how you need to learn and how you need to grow and maybe some of your blocks that you need to overcome. So we're going to be spending a lot of time on looking at all those different things in all different ways, and bringing in a lot of astrology, a lot of different styles of astrology as well.
Wow. And so different styles of astrology, different interpretations, different techniques, all of that comes together.
Yeah, we're going to look at the Synastry side of it. We're going to bring the asteroids into it. We're going to bring Lilith into it, of course, and you're the queen of Lilith. You know all
Am
about
I?
her.
I do love Lilith very much. And I do have Lilith. I think you're talking about it because she's so close to my midheaven, right? It's Black Moon Lilith. And so
Yeah.
I do feel that connection. But speaking of Lilith, why not? Let's go there. I mean, so many
Yeah.
thoughts come to mind as you're teaching, not even teaching, just us talking. So many thoughts come to mind. But what's fascinating, I'll tell you, because I always end up spilling my guts to you, whether we're hanging out personally or whether I'm interviewing you for my channel, I do. But it is so interesting how, like the last couple of really important relationships I've had over the last few years, they were each people who had Black Moon Lilith conjunct their Venus.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's
Yeah.
fascinating to me. These were Mars ruled Venuses at that. One had Venus in Aries, conjunct almost exact to Black Moon Lilith in Aries. The other was Scorpio. And it was interesting. I think that, it's that allure it's the allure of Lilith that is
Mhm.
part of that, right? That shows up in a person's chart. And so maybe,
Mhm.
yeah, they're drawn that much more to people who display a very strong Lilith. But then I don't know. I just think about how they ended up doing things that were, on the one hand, very hurtful. But on the
Yeah.
other hand, there's anger, right? There's this residual anger. And Lilith, as well, in her own story, had a lot of anger to her
Mhm.
also. And we
Mhm.
see that. I mean, for example, I'm thinking about the charts of Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, right? They've got lots of very strong Black Moon Lilith energy between them.
Yeah.
but oh my goodness, like you can see how it has become a mess, and that's what it feels like sometimes. So I mean, for her, right? And so can you talk about that a little bit, like how
Well,
Lilith
they
and
came
Synastry?
together, didn't they? And then they
Yeah,
split,
yeah.
and then they came together again. So can you see the Lilith toing and
Yeah,
froing?
like the
Can you see
irresistible
that?
quality, and oh, you want to be all in it, but then
Yeah,
at some point it can feel like a power struggle, maybe.
it's
Or
very much that. And see, you're a
yeah,
Lilith archetype. You really, really are, Nadia. You, for me, knowing you, you embody Lilith. You know, the highest version of Lilith. You know, you're a very strong 21st century woman in your own right. You know, that doesn't play the little woman. You know, that doesn't fall back into old female traps. You know, you are a power source in your own right. And men who've got Lilith in their chart strongly with their Venus are attracted to that. They're attracted to that quality in you. They really, really are. But men's Lilith is a little bit different from a woman's Lilith. A man's Lilith is he has to not only he has to come to terms with Lilith in a woman, being able to be with a woman who is strong and knows her own, knows herself on every single level, and is a strong woman in her own right. He has to actually celebrate that and understand that and know that, but he also has to understand it in himself as well. There is a Lilith in every single man as well. And so to understand you and to get to know you really well, you're triggering their Lilith. And men don't like that because men want to be masculine, men want to be in power, men want to be the one on top. And so when you're triggering this powerful yin in them, it scares them. It scares them because it feels like, oh, if I have a relationship with this woman, she's going to be as powerful, if not more powerful than me, because I haven't really got my Lilith together yet. And she has. And so I'm either going to have to fight with her or hurt her or control her or leave her, run away and leave her because I can't do my Lilith yet. I'm not there yet. She is, and I'm not. Until you find a man who is comfortable with his Lilith and comfortable with your Lilith, you watch the relationship be very, very different. It will be really different. But a lot of men, straight men particularly, I think have trouble with it. I think gay men are a
I
little
was going
bit
to
different.
ask. Yeah,
I think, gay men, we kind of understand Lilith, and Lilith's a big part of our natures, and but I think straight men have a different thing going on. And maybe Ben and Jennifer had a bit of that. Maybe there was that whole idea of Ben not being able to come to terms with the Lilith in her and in him. So
yeah,
that's kind of my take on it. Mm.
yeah. It does feel like it's this love-hate thing with Lilith, isn't it? Like
Mm.
that's the thing. It becomes almost like the competitive side of, oh no, I can, whatever it is, I can get her to lie down. In the case of Adam, I can, I can,
Yeah,
but Lilith in myth was always going to do what she was going to do. Nobody and nothing
exactly.
was going to get in her way.
Yeah,
And not even God could tell her any different about what was good for her or not. And I think that where it is that there are very traditional roles, right? Very patriarchal traditional
mhm,
roles, she is the rebuke of that, right? Like she comes from the text that is arguably the foundational text to patriarchy, right? We see the Abrahamic
mhm,
religions arise with
mhm,
her story being one of the first.
mhm.
And she is like right out of the gate, the rebuke to this.
Yeah,
And uh, yeah, I think that for some people, you're so right. It is about what does this say about my masculinity for me to
yeah,
be with somebody? And so you think for women like myself who have a very strong Black Moon Lilith in their chart,
mhm,
the way in which to address a pattern like this that might be there is to choose men who maybe have taken greater ownership for their Lilith or have
yeah,
embraced the the understanding that having someone with power doesn't diminish their power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what it is, because men are threatened by Lilith and always have been. And that's why women throughout the ages, and even now, are still, covered up and told that what they can and can't do, and desexualized, and made to feel, demeaned and underneath a man and all that kind of stuff. It's still happening, not as much as it used to, thank goodness, but it is still happening. Of course, men are terrified of that. They're terrified of it. Um, and a man at least needs to come to terms with being with a woman who really exercises her little full on. Whether he can actually integrate it into himself is another story, and a harder story. But if he can start without being able to be with a woman like you, or be with another very strong, powerful woman, and feel comfortable with that, and don't feel, that they've been castrated, don't feel that, because they're not, because a woman being strong has nothing to do with taking the strength away from a man. It's just, this is who I am. And so he has to understand that. He has to understand she can be strong without it impinging on me at all, without my strength being taken. But they tend to think there's only one person to be strong in the relationship. So if she's going to be strong, then I can't be, and I'm going to have to fight for it, and I'm going to have to take it from her. So the dynamic is really, you can see it, can't you? It's
Yeah. I
like,
mean,
there it is.
yeah, I'm thinking about that is approaching relationships, or maybe even approaching life from a place of competition, from a place of dominance and submission. But
Yes,
it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. It can be that, hey, you're powerful where you need to be and where you want to be, and that doesn't mean having dominance over the other. And I can be
exactly.
powerful in the ways that I am, and that also gives both people permission to be softer with each other
Yeah,
as well, when they can own
yeah.
their own power individually.
Exactly. And Lilith isn't just powerful, in a Plutonian way or a Martian way. Lilith is power because she knows how to use her feminine energy and feminine instincts as well. And the femininity in Lilith, the softness and sensitivity and compassion that Lilith has too, is very powerful and very strong. And it's a little bit like what I said about vulnerability. To be actually vulnerable is to come to a place where you feel very comfortable with your feelings. And Lilith is there as well. She's very, very comfortable with her feelings. She's very comfortable with being able to experience and express and integrate that beautiful side of the yin energy in her, and use it well in life, and use it powerfully in life. But it doesn't make her really like a warrior princess. It actually makes her into somebody who is incredibly transformative, incredibly healing, incredibly shamanic. She's got all those qualities
Yeah.
involved as well.
I mean, I'm thinking about how, even with power and how power plays out in relationships, for example, there is still a difference. Because I mean, I'm remembering a dear friend who I love very, very much, but I remember how, and I think it was something perhaps deeper in the psyche, but it did feel like maybe her conceptualization of being in a relationship was one person has to be dominant. So she'd kind of
Mhm.
bought into that as well.
Yeah,
And so I remember her complaining about how men think that she's too strong. But I don't think that's what it was. What it was there's a difference between being strong and being bossy. Bossy
yeah,
comes from a place within where you don't feel strong.
yeah,
Strength is self knowledge. Strength is being able to be with yourself and in your power, and
hmm,
and to be at peace with it, which is a
yeah,
very different intention. It's not about the
yeah,
performance of strength. And so if somewhere in your life you're called to be a warrior princess, as you said, go for it, have at it. But if you feel like you need to be the warrior, putting someone else in submission, that's where that is telling you something about perhaps not the evolved type of relationship that ultimately Lilith is asking for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. And I think if ever you have to be in a relationship where you have to control somebody else, or where you have to fight for control in a way, it's telling you that one or both parties are totally out of control. Really, they're totally out of control. And there is something about the strength that comes in not only with Lilith, but in all areas to do with intimacy in our charts, that is about being in total control of ourselves in all our situations. It's not about trying to get in control with other people. It's not about controlling them or getting controlled. It's about looking at you and feeling I'm in control of myself. Therefore, I can go into relationships, all intimate relationships, being very, very comfortable with who I am. And I don't need to do anything to them. And I don't want them to do anything to me. So, really, when that all boils down, the intimacy that I want to talk about, and what intimacy truly is when two parties, when two people are really in control of their own lives, their own souls, their own emotions, and then be able to come into a beautiful place where they can share that. They don't have to take anything from each other. They don't have to, undermine each other or override each other in any way. It's just a beautiful, beautiful sharing of energy of two people who really, really are very comfortable with who they are on all levels. Yeah.
Do you see why that's scary for people? Like why
Very,
there would be fear? Yeah, yeah. What is that
very.
about? Like, what do you think that is? What might show that astrologically? Like, what is it, do you think?
Well, I mean, you're going to go when I'm looking at a chart. The fifth house, the seventh house, and the eighth house have a lot to do with relationships and getting involved. Okay, and so you're going to be looking at planets in those particular houses, particularly, and any planets that are making aspects to those planets in those houses. Also, the rulers of those houses. The planets that rule those particular houses. And every planet is going to have their version of how they want to get close or how they deal with getting close. And as you know, every planet has its own agenda, every planet has its own way of doing it. And some of them aren't easy, you know? None of them are, we're learning, we're growing, we're evolving. And so there's going to be a particular planets that are in your chart that are actually saying, this is what you have to learn, this is what you have to buckle down, this is what you have to do. The moon is kind of very needy in this area. The moon wants to be fed, and she goes into this area and probably looks for somebody to feed her, to look after her, to mother her. And then she might flip roles too. She might go, well, I'm going to go, intimacy for me means mothering somebody, tucking somebody in, cooking for them, making their bed, that kind of thing. Again, nothing wrong with all those kind of things because we love, the mothering side of things. But true intimacy and true vulnerability is not going in to anything looking for a substitute mother or a substitute parent, to give you what you need. It's about if you've got the moon there, it truly is about the moon finding its personal nourishment through the intimacy you're getting with that other person. So therefore, you being very comfortable with your feelings, comfortable with your heart, comfortable with your love, being able to feel nourished and nurtured yourself already, and then coming into a relationship with that as who you are. And then being able to share that in some kind of way without doing it with a need for somebody else to give it back to you, or I'm looking for my long lost daddy, or whatever it is, whatever it might be. It's a very complete feeling of the moon in me. I'm watered, I'm nourished, I've got everything. I look after me, and I look after me in all my relationships and everything I when I get in contact with you, I'm going to be sharing my heart, but I'm going to be looking after me the most. So you can play it out with all the planets. They all say something.
Wow, they all say something.
For
Isn't that
sure.
interesting? Yeah. I mean, as far as intimacy goes and what we might need in terms of intimacy.
Like Uranus and Saturn are probably the ones that are a little bit more like, hey, hang on.
Yeah.
Because neither of them buy into emotions in a big way. Because emotions for Uranus and Saturn get in the way of their agenda, get in the way of their mission. Saturn is a feeling of accomplishing something this lifetime, mastering something this lifetime. And sometimes emotions or feelings can detract them. It's kind of like, I don't have time for that. I'm on my way. Saturn, I'm climbing my mountain. I don't have time to wallow in my emotions or to get too close to somebody. Uranus just wants freedom. Uranus is, don't come too close, you know. Don't come too close. Keep over there. I'm free. I need to be my own person. I need to do what I want to do when I want to do it. I'm not going to be told what to do. I need to run my own show. And so intimacy for those two planets, or even people who've got lots of Capricorn or lots of Aquarius in those particular houses, they're going to have to deal with intimacy in a very different way. So intimacy for Saturn could actually feel a little bit like me being able to incorporate getting close to somebody and feeling close to somebody. That in itself has to be something that I achieve or accomplish in a way. It has to be like a mission of sorts. So therefore, growing and developing and getting close to my feelings and being able to feel very, very safe and secure in myself is a mission of mine that I need to accomplish. And so I see it on that level. And so it's almost like a masterclass that I have to do. And again, it's going to be a lot of toing and froing in this particular area because, sometimes you're in there, sometimes it's all too hard. But I find that Saturn in those particular houses are in there for the long haul when they're in there. They're ready to do it. They're ready to take it to the nth degree. But it's kind of like a push me, pull you with the love thing, because Saturn's more about productive love than mushy, gooey love, you know. Uranus on the other side of things, Uranus really uh, would have to be with people or with a person who allow where that feeling of doing something completely different and unusual and wild and wacky and not demanding anything from each other, not making each other be what they want them to be, allowing each other room to move. If a person needs to go away for 2 weeks and then come back again, yes, that's fine. That's cool bananas. And I want to say when they're free, that's when they can be at their most loving. When they're feeling trapped, when you're demanding something from them, you got to stay with me, you're my boyfriend, this is what I want. You watch them run, they'll head to the hills. They're out of there. Run away. But if you say you do what you need to do, I'm going to give you a lot of rope and I need a lot of rope too, they'll hang around. They'll hang around. And the need for connection and the need for love will be based on that, will be based on this free spirited kind of understanding of we love each other and connect with each other and have sex with each other on that level, which is lots of fun, actually. Lots of fun. And it's you know how sex can sometimes become a little bit boring because it's a bit same old, particularly when you're with the same person all the time. Uranus will always be, mixing it up. Let's try
Yeah.
something else. Let's try something different.
Yeah. And so, you said a couple of things there that were rather intriguing. But one of the things was like, if you can give to yourself, like what it is that you really need, it helps you to then bring this whole other sense of, when you're in relationship with someone. And
Mhm.
so I can just see people saying, like, how do you do that? Because I've been asked that. How do you go about doing that, giving yourself what it is that you need? And so, what is it that we look at in that case? Do we look at the moon and feeding ourselves in that way, not expecting someone else to be our moon for us? What is it, do you think?
Of giving ourselves what we need, are you talking about?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Like, how would we go about? Because there are going to be people, I'm sure, who are watching who are going to be
mhm,
feeling like, yeah, but I want to be in a relationship, or, you can't
yep,
give certain things to yourself that you can only get in relationship. But then that ends up creating this energy where, just like you said, it becomes like, I need you to be able to have this thing that
yeah,
I need. And it's a sure way to just have things, just begin to fall apart. Whether it
totally,
takes like a week, whether it takes 10 years, you're already on that path. Once it is that you
yeah,
start thinking, it's got to be you. Without you, I'm not going to have this that's going to help me feel like I have something I really
yeah.
need. So, how does a person go about understanding what they need and giving it to themselves in a way where it's not contingent on another person, where that other person can stay, they can go, they're really okay?
Yeah. I think it's a really a great question. I think it's a really, really good idea to begin with, to take the other person way out of the equation to start with. Okay. Because what you're looking for and what's in your chart that actually says this will be really good for you on the level of relationship and intimacy and bonding and sex and all that kind of stuff, you have to be in a place alone as a single person by yourself to be able to cultivate what that is, what that means for yourself. Because so many of us are going to go, as you just said, going to go out there and going to go, I'll find somebody out there who is going to do it for me or going to give it to me. Whatever I'm looking for, Venus, they're going to validate me. They're going to make me feel comfortable. They're going to look after me. That feeling of, if it's a son, they're going to adore me. They're going to make me feel beautiful. They're going to compliment me, all that kind of stuff. So rather than actually doing that, there has to be a part of you now, and this is kind of like swapping it around. If you want to attract the so-called right person, if you want to attract that person into your life that you want to be with and want to stay with forever, then you're going to have to understand the law of attraction, because the law of attraction is you attract what you're putting out. So if you're putting out, I need, I need, I need, I need, you're telling everybody and the universe, I don't have, I don't have, I don't have, I don't have. So you're attracting everybody that's going to rub your face into your issue, basically. Okay. So when you go, okay, I really do want to find the right person, and my way of finding it is to incorporate it myself to become what I want myself, and that's going to be the way I get it, that could actually be a really good motivator. Now, again, you have to be really truthful in doing that. You have to be very honest in doing that. In other words, if you've got, say, Uranus there, you really, really do have to come into a place where your freedom, where your individuation, where who you are, where your need to be 100% authentically you, without apology, without edit. I have to come into that place. I have to be that person. And once and people like it, that's nice. If people don't like it, too bad. I have to really, really come into a very um, safe place with my freedom and my individuation and my individuality, because the person I truly want is the person who's going to celebrate that. The person out there who I want to attract into my life is a person who's going, I love your craziness. I love everything about the way you just do things on the spur of the moment. I love the way who you are, on the level of your you coming up with new ideas all the time, and you're always stretching outside the boundaries, and you're always looking for new things to do. I love that about you. I love that about you. And that is the person you want to be with. And it's only come from the fact that you've actually started to work on it yourself. So if you go out looking for it, dangerous,
Yeah. Yeah.
dangerous.
It's interesting
So,
because I find like when I am in a space, especially in my mind, where it's like meeting people is like I feel, I know, I'm telling myself meeting people is the easiest thing in the world. It is amazing how it becomes the easiest thing in the world. So there is that layer of it. And of course, if you feel that sense of lack, just like you said, there's
mm,
that lack. But then I think it's also that, sometimes we're sad. Like we're sad for what didn't work out, where we had
yeah,
hope, right?
yeah,
We're sad because we, might fear getting hurt like that again. Maybe we
yeah,
trusted, maybe we really opened ourselves in some
yeah,
way. We
yeah,
felt something really strong and we got hurt. And there's fear in that, of course.
yeah.
So, uh, where does a person start in terms of, because that is usually, maybe usually is not the right way to put it, but somebody who's saying, I need, that just might be a mask to cover the fear, right? What they're
Yeah.
really going on is the fear. And when you were saying that, you attract what it is that you're putting out, I thought ascendant, descendant, right? The
Mhm.
ascendant tends to represent what you're putting out into the world. And then what you attract back is the descendant.
Yeah.
So there's a few layers to that. I know I threw a few questions out there at you, but there's the one of the fear, the deeper fear that might be there, that might be there
Yeah.
for very good reasons because you were
Yes,
hurt.
of course.
And then there's that, dealing with that, healing with that. But then the other is, okay, so now I know what I put out, what I get back. So
Mhm.
how to tap into a greater consciousness of how you might be using your ascendant, for example, in
Yeah.
order to activate that descendant must be part of the equation as well.
Yeah. Well, the ascendant descendant are a great thing to look at for relationship, because the ascendant is you and how you do you, and the descendant is, and I wanna clarify this one too. Everyone thinks the descendant is the other person, but it is basically what you're being taught by another person, what you're being taught about yourself through another person. Okay. So the seventh house is who you are in a relationship. It's not necessarily the other person, even though the other person is going to play a big part of it. But the descendant is very much about you learning about yourself via somebody else. Okay. And so you might, if, say, for instance, you've got a Cancer ascendant and a Capricorn descendant. Okay.
Who could that be? Okay.
Is that you, is it?
Yeah,
There you go.
there you go.
So the Cancer ascendant, who you are, you're basically a heart-centered person. You're basically a person who goes out heart first. You want to care, you want to look after. You've got a mothering kind of instinct in you that wants to put its arms around things and wants to water things and wants to make things grow. But on the other side, you've got Capricorn, which is actually saying in relationship and who you are in relationship, you have to be in a place where you are more, I want to say, where you are more um, your own person, where you're more masterful, where you're more in charge, and not in charge of the relationship or not in charge of that other person, but in charge of yourself, in charge of life. You need to be able to come into relationships already knowing you can look after everything. I can look after myself physically, emotionally, financially. I come into that place already feeling I can do it alone. And then I'm ready for a relationship because I don't need anything from you. Okay. So, you know what you might bring in? You might bring in people who want to control you, people who want to boss you around, people who want to tell you how to, because the Capricorn energy is now I'm the boss, not of the relationship, but I'm the boss of me. So again, don't come in and start telling me the rules and the regulations. Don't tell me when to pick up my laundry. Don't tell me when to, to turn something on and off. Don't tell me how to do anything. So you're going to be bringing these kind of people in that Capricorn kind of way, teaching you already, hang on, I'm a big girl. I know how to do my shit. You know what I mean? I don't need you to come in and play the cop in my relationship. So there's something, in that Cancer energy that does want to be in touch with your feelings. But when you are with other people, you have to kind of draw the line. There has to be boundaries put around things for you. And there has to be I want to have a relationship, and I want to have a good relationship, and I want to have a long-term relationship. I want all that kind of stuff. But I want to have it with a mature person. I want to have it with a grown-up. I want to have it with two people who really understand reliability, dependability, honor, respect, integrity, honesty. This is what I want. So therefore I'm going to have to, in my own way, come into that place myself so I can actually start to put that out there amongst other people. And so they know immediately that if they're getting together with me, I've already got my shit together. I don't need you to tell me what to do or how to do it. I'm already got it. And I want a person who's already got their shit together too.
And who wants someone with theirs together.
Yeah.
That's the other step of it. Someone who has theirs together, but also wants someone who has theirs together. So
Exactly.
yeah, that's an intriguing way. I always put it, the way I like to say it is to see yourself differently as reflected in the eyes of another.
Exactly.
And that's what it means. It doesn't mean to take their opinion on as your own of who you are or your worthiness or any of that or your worth, but it is about learning about how you know yourself based on what you think they might be perceiving in you. Like that's the thing to be mindful of. Now,
exactly.
Mark, I always like to give people something that they can use, right? Like to give them value for watching, something that they can use so that they can go away with. You did say a few very interesting things, but one of the things you said, to go back a little, was the moon always feels like it's hungry. Like it feels like it always wants to be fed. And the moon isn't just food, right? The moon is emotions, right? The emotional needs that we have. And so I wonder how you feel about maybe, like, literally to just go through the signs, maybe one or two sentences each, to talk about or just mention what a particular moon sign might want to be fed and how we might be able to give that to ourselves. Does that sound like something you want to throw your hat in and try?
Like a speed date almost.
Yeah, right? Like, because you've done it before. I mean, I know I've thrown a lot out at you at the different interviews we've had over the years, and you always just show what a pro you are. So if you are up for it, and if not, let me know, and then we can pause and I can edit this out, and then we'll pick up the conversation.
Oh, I can do it really quickly.
I know you can. I knew it.
I mean, but it's just a handful of words. I mean, I could spend a whole, webinar on one side.
Oh, of course, you could spend a whole 5 weeks looking at that, I'm sure, knowing all that you know.
Moon in Aries,
literally.
Yeah. Moon in Aries needs to be fed excitement, basically. It needs to be fed excitement. It needs to be stimulated all the time. And that's what emotionally charges it up. Moon in Taurus needs to know it needs to feel valued, needs to feel safe and valued and comfortable. and needs to, and it's very much about working. Taurus is very much about working on your inner on your inner worth and your inner value. You know, that kind of thing. I feel resourced and I feel loved and I feel equipped more internally than externally. You know, that's really, really important. Um, Moon in Gemini is going to always be what's happening around them. It's always going to be the visual side of it. I love to see what's going on. I love the chit chat. I love to be able to talk with you, and I love to be able to understand you, and you understand me, and we can really, really get down to the nitty gritty of what's going on.
And let me just
Moon,
say, like, sorry to interrupt there, but I do want to say all of these things that you're mentioning, you can give to yourself. All of these things you're mentioning are not dependent on a particular person. But when you
totally,
find ways to give them to yourself outside of thinking only one person can give them to you, it's amazing how that opens you to really loving that much more, or at least being able to be with another person that much more, because the
exactly,
need isn't there. The joy is there, the fulfillment is there, but not the need, because you already meeting the need in other ways. So, okay,
yeah.
so we talked about the first three. Moon in Cancer.
Moon in Cancer. I want to say to give you everything you would be giving your little baby or giving your dog, giving you the love, giving you, you know, giving you the cuddles, giving you that feeling of being able to look after you. It's about how are you feeling? I'm going to give you exactly what you need. You know, if you've got a little girl, little baby girl or boy, you're always conscious of, are you comfortable, darling? Do you need a hug? Do you need food? You know, you've got to do that to yourself. You've got to treat yourself like your own little baby, you know. Moon in Leo, you've got to look at yourself in the mirror every day and go,
Right? I'm
I
it.
like you.
I am the ish. Yeah. Like, oh yeah.
I like
Every
you.
moment is the runway. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly,
Mm.
exactly. I like you. I really, really like you. Yeah, what's it, Sally Field, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Moon,
You like
Moon in Virgo, really and truly, Moon in Virgo really has to really come into a place where it's really looking after itself, looking after its well-being, knowing how to keep itself healthy, you know, mentally, physically, emotionally, sexually, knowing all the things that work and really, really drawing the line with all the things that don't. You know, being very, very specific with what works in your life and what is healthy and what is unhealthy goes out into the bin, you know, that kind of thing. Moon in Libra, chill, you know, feed, you know, that emotional need to exhale, that emotional need to go, this isn't about looking for somebody. This isn't about, oh, where is he? You know, it is about coming into a place of lovely, calm, balance, and equilibrium within you. You need to be able to see both sides of everything, validate both sides of everything, and calm down, you know? Moon in Scorpio, you really do need to be able to find things in life that intrigue you. You've got to be in that intriguing place all the time, finding things out, you know, digging deep, being able to discover things, the detective, the mysteries of things, being able to come up and be able to be surprised and go, oh, I didn't know that before. Wow, you know, that's very, very Moon in Scorpio, to be able to constantly be in a state of wanting to be engaged in what's going on. Moon in Sag, of course. Moon in Sag just needs to spread its wings. You know, Moon in Sag gets fed by being able to get on a plane. You know, let's do that. Let's do this today. Let's go to Mexico. Let's go to, you know, Vietnam. It needs to be able to feel that every day is like an adventure. My life has to be an adventure, and the person I want to get involved with has to be on board with me. You know, we have to be in the plane together, or we have to be able to be in a country that speaks a different language, we have to be there together. Moon in Capricorn, if you've got the moon in Capricorn, there has to be something in you now that really starts to feel that my feelings and the way I feel and the way I want to connect is almost like a contract that I signed. It's something that I come onto the planet and it feels like I have to achieve the most productive way of doing this. So a little bit like Moon in Virgo, I can't waste anything. I can't waste my time. I can't waste my stuff on things that don't go anywhere, that mean nothing. Everything has to be put to use. Everything has to be given a path that makes me feel like, yeah, another step up that mountain. And so it wants to achieve. It wants to get that emotional diploma of life, Moon in Aquarius, give me space again. Give me room to move. Give me friends more than lovers. Give me people I don't know all that well that I can really connect with. And I want to say my lovers will come as friends first. I need to be friends with my lover first, and then my lover will be my friend, that kind of thing. They need somebody who, as I said, or want to be in a space where that feeling of authenticity, being real, and I want to say being really truthful to their authentic, organic, original self, and then being with somebody who understands that and gets that and is that too. Moon in Pisces. Moon in Pisces, again, can easily lose the boundary and lose the kind of like Moon in Pisces has to be in this beautiful place where it's here and not here at the same time. It has to understand on a level that my heart is very human and I have a human connection with life and a human connection with each other. But there is something in me that is understanding this person beyond them being human, understanding this person as a soul going through what they have to go through. And I'm recognizing that I'm a soul going through what I have to go through. So therefore, I'm becoming a little bit more compassionate for me. I'm becoming a little bit more loving and forgiving for me. And again, it's another area of being able to calm down and chill out. So
see, look, a pro, an absolute pro. I knew you could do it. I knew it would be like nothing to you with all the insight and knowledge that you have. And so once again, everybody, Marc Laurenson is coming back to Synchronicity University. And he's got a 5-week mini course set to take place this November 2025. And you've got a little time left to choose your tuition rate. There's always just $5 a class. It's the only place in the world that Marc teaches at that low a rate. The intimate sky. I mean, you just got a little taste. And I know a lot of people out there getting that little bit of taste, they're going to want a whole lot more. So sign up now at synchronicityuniversity.com. Marc, I love you. It's always so amazing to talk to you. I always learn something when I talk to you, and I love that.
I love you too, Nadiya. I love you heaps. And I can't wait to do this. I've never done it before. I've never done a whole course on this particular subject before, so it's going to be super exciting for me as well. Yeah.
And you have so much to share. And I mean, I know. And again, everybody, you can catch up on some of Marc's previous courses with us over at synchronicityuniversity.com as well. So thank you again, Marc. I adore you.
Thank you, Nadiya.
And thank you, everybody out there, for watching. Until we connect again, take care. Bye.